What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this, I want to break down what's going on with SPY, Tesla, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening with the economic calendar moving forward, what's going on with other earnings involving the markets, and what you should be watching for as time progresses. But before I begin the devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, deposit $100, you're guaranteed 7 free stocks. And offer ends very soon in just about 3 weeks. Anyways, first SPY, we're on a very, very nice uptrend right now. We're pushing higher and higher, trying to break resistance at this 521 area. But we'll have to see if this breaks or not, as SPY is showing some life. But I also want to talk about the economic calendar and stuff like that first before I break down the charts. So as a reminder, tomorrow is going to be Friday, May 10th, 2024. And at 9 o'clock a.m., we have Bowman from the Fed giving a speech. Then at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 30 minutes after the market opens, we have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report, the 5-year inflationary expectations, the current conditions reports, and more data coming out, not to mention more Fed speakers doing their thing. But that could cause some volatility, especially during the first 30 minutes of the day. So watch to see what happens with the Michigan data. And besides that, it's just a couple of Fed speakers and very, very minor data. Now, for earnings, after the market closed, we just got Mara, not to mention a couple of others, such as like Unity announcing their earnings. For tomorrow, we have very, very minor earnings, but looking at this so far, we have Unity. They're delivering very impressive Q1 margin improvements. Revenue is at about $460.4 million. That has been above analysts' expectations, but their EPS was not very good. They actually got a loss of 75 cents versus the expectation of a loss of 67 cents. They missed that by 11.5%. But the main reason why the share price is dropping and crashing really hard for Unity is because the Q2 2024 revenue guidance was about $423 million as the midpoint versus the analyst estimations of about $443.2 million. That's a 4.6% miss. So their guidance for 2024 Q2 is not as good. Also, their full year guidance is not very good either. So guidance is not very strong. That's why the share price is down. Moving forward, the fear and greed index is currently at fear, a little bit close to neutral, getting very close to it, kind of shifting a bit. Market momentum is still greedy as we're seeing buyers stepping in. The puts and call option positioning is still kind of low at 0.8 being the ratio, and market volatility is also dipping as we're starting to see more of a drop, at least for the VIX. We're currently around the 12.68 area, so the VIX is continuing to fall and fall and fall, and we're approaching some critical support, which could lead to a big shift in the price. So we'll see how that ends up moving. For other things, for May 10th, which is tomorrow, we have just over 300,000 of the calls expiring, and we have over, 527 plus thousand of these puts expiring. The majority positions are in puts, with 513 being max pain. We also have a 1.71 puts to call ratio. So will the market makers squeeze shorts again? I think that there is more upside for SPY, but we'll have to watch some tight resistance levels. So that's what I kind of see, at least for now. And I'm going to be kind of quick with this. So for SPY, right now, we have our key support at this 518 area. And if we lose that, we're dipping all the way down to 516.8 and 515 at our 20 EMA. Resistance watch 521.5. If we break through this, we're easily pushing up to this imbalance at 523. Then eventually, we have 525. We're still coming up here. So for now, the share price is bullish. If you look at the 4-hour time frame, we're actually shifting back up. We got a nice breakout. We're actually pushing in the after hours. I think that this is easily going to 521.5, if not higher, to 523. So I do see at least 521.5 coming, but just be mindful of the fact that the VIX and the market is going to be approaching some tight resistance, and the VIX is at some very, very key supports. So the last time SPY hit this 521.5 area, we got a big rejection all the way down to 512. The last time we hit 523, we also got a big rejection all the way down to 513, a 10-point drop. So there's a very good chance that, yes, we could hit 521 to 523, but then we might get a rejection very, very soon at one of those levels. The last time it happened, we saw a very, very big sell-off. So be mindful of that. With that being said, I think that this overall analysis is going to affect how we end up moving for tomorrow. And we're approaching some very, very tight resistance, so make sure you watch how we move. I predict SPY will go higher to at least 521.5, if not 523. But then once we approach that resistance, things could shift. Why? Because we have tight resistance on SPY. That's the first thing. The yields, if you look at the 10-year Treasury yield, this is also at a very, very critical place right now. We're continuing to dip towards this imbalance, but the last time we hit this 4.4 area, we did actually bounce a little bit. And if the Fed remains more hawkish, or if anything else is said that's like that, we could see yields go up again. So we will see if there are any shifts. We have inflationary data also coming out in just a couple of trading days. So mid next week is going to be coming. And then on top of that, we also have the VIX. The VIX is also dipping, and we're approaching this key support. Every time we hit 12.5, within a week, this thing bounces. Within a week, it's bounced. Within a week, it bounced, right? And right here, the last time we were here, we saw this thing shuffle starting from March 20th. This went on until about March 28th before it bounced. So within a week, or around a week is how long it took. My point is within a week, I think the VIX is going to bounce. So we're approaching support at 12.5. The VIX is going to launch back up to 15 plus within a week. This means that SPY will most likely within a week get a rejection. We're going to get a rejection on SPY, a big one by at least 8 to 10 points. I think within a week it's going to happen. So the VIX kind of suggests that. The dollar is also dipping quite a bit. But one thing worth noting is that the dollar has support right here at this 105 area. We will see if the dollar kind of comes down here and bounces off 105 or not. I see it tipping a little bit more, but we'll see if it bounces or not from there. So, with that being said, what all of this suggests is that SPY in the market could go higher. Yes, we can. I think we're going to go higher, but we're going to be hitting some tough resistance, and there is a risk of rejection coming very soon, in my personal opinion. May take some time, but just wait and see how it goes. For Tesla, I know Tesla is very popular. Tesla has a downtrend. You guys can see this white trend line is acting as resistance. Every time we hit this, we are getting rejected, and it's continuing to fall as a result of this. Now, I think that this stock is going to try to retest 175, kind of rebound a bit with the markets, then shuffle a bit in this 175 area, and we might get another rejection, start continuing to fall all the way down to 172 again. That's the most likely possibility. Watch 175 as resistance. If that breaks, watch 176.8, then eventually 178. For support, watch 172. If we lose that, watch 170, then 167.5. I predict it's going to rebound a bit, retest the 50 EMA, then reject, and start dipping all the way down to 170 or so. So I find it very probable that that's going to be the case. So look for a little rebound and eventually a continuation back down to much lower levels. Sadly, Tesla is on a bit of a downtrend, so the trend does favor downside. Might rebound a bit first before we continue lower, but that is what I'm seeing for Tesla's the most likely possibility. Nvidia is also similar to Tesla, starting to downtrend, underperform compared to the market. We also lost our support at 892. I wouldn't be surprised if this actually rebounds a little bit, retests our 20 EMA's resistance, 892, break that, then we could see 900 again before it continues lower, but this trend is bearish on Nvidia. Look for a little rebound, sideways price action, and eventually move back down. And I think that we will eventually make our way down towards 875. Whether we bounce first to 892, if not 900, this range again, and then we drop, or if we just drop from here, I think 875 is likely coming on Nvidia within the next week or two. For the QQQ, we're looking bullish to me. We look more bullish. I think that this could push higher. We're going to be looking at 442 as resistance. If that breaks, this imbalance will take us all the way up to about 444. So I see that as our next potential target if we break 442. So could the QQQ go higher? Yes, it can. It looks bullish right now. But just like SPY, be very careful as we're approaching some tight resistance. The last time we hit 444 to 446, we got a big rejection on the QQQ, and this happened 3 times we rejected off that range. We got 3 big rejections off there, so I think that if it goes a little bit higher, 444 to 446 is possible, but then we might get a big rejection back down. We also have some gaps to fill in the daily time frames. Let me just show you the daily on the triple Q. If you look at the daily, we could approach resistance. We could go a little higher to 442. If that breaks, 444 could be coming. But then look at all these gaps. We have a gap all the way down here at 426, a big one that's unfilled. There's a gap over here at 435. We have a lot of gaps to fill on the triple Q, so we'll have to see if that ends up being the case for us. And just be very open-minded and careful with this, at least moving forward. So we'll see how things go, if the market gets another rejection or not. On top of this, we have Aapl. Aapl, in my opinion, is also holding up very well, looks bullish on the daily, so it might push a little bit higher tomorrow. But I think we're going to be testing the 185 resistance. So let me pull up the 1 hour time frame and show you this. We're approaching resistance on Aapl. I said we have a tight range and to watch which way we break for the direction. And that is what happened. We actually broke past the 183.5 area. Resistance is going to be around 185. We have support at 184.25 and then eventually the 183 range. I think 185 is coming, then eventually 185.5. So I do favor a bit more upside before it tries to make this move back down, but I am anticipating more potential upside. For Palantir also is kind of trading sideways, so we're not really doing a whole lot right now. We have resistance at 21.3 and 21.8. 21 flat is our support, then 20.5. I think that what's going to happen is it's going to rebound a little bit to make its way back down lower. And we could actually make our way back down towards 20.5 as the chart's looking a little bit weaker. And we got this big drop after earnings came out. So the odds do favor the downside a bit more, in my personal opinion. Looking at NEO, I know a lot of people are interested in this. The share price looks a little bit more weak right now, at least on the 4-hour time frame. It might rebound to 5.4 first before it comes down lower. So look for a little rebound on NEO before it continues back down. We have this gap to fill up here, so we will see if it kind of rebounds a bit before it continues. But I do see it eventually coming down to about $5 or lower. Might rebound first, might push a little higher first before it comes back down. So watch for that. On Super Micro, we were trying to rebound, but now we're kind of struggling to break past the 820 area, kind of shuffling between 800 and 820. If it loses 820, we're going to be dipping all the way down, in my opinion, to about 7. Basically, we first have this gap fill at 780, then eventually 760 is coming next. We have resistance at 820. If that breaks, we have 846. We're kind of trading sideways, so I see it potentially continuing, then eventually dropping lower. So watch for that. For RIVN, RIVN's kind of rejecting here. If we lose 10.03, we could be dipping all the way down to 9.7. If we break out, we're going to be looking for 10.5 as resistance. I do favor that this is going to dip a little bit, so watch for that very carefully. For SoFi, SoFi has resistance at this 7.13 area. If we reject off this, we could be dipping all the way down to about 6.8. If we break through this, we're going to be pushing all the way up to about 7.28. I think it might actually kind of shuffle a little bit sideways for now. It's just kind of stuck at 7. It might dip a little bit, so just be careful since it's struggling to break the 50 EMA. So I'll be watching that very carefully. For the IWM Russell 2000, I think it's going to be pushing all the way up to at least 207. As we have this gap to fill, we also have a cup and handle-like structure. Look for 207, and then once we get to resistance, we'll see if it rejects or not. The last time we had 207, we actually got two big rejections between 207 and 208.5. So look for a little bit more upside, and then we're going to see if it rejects or not. For AMD, AMD is looking a bit more bearish right now. The problem is it's kind of rejecting at this resistance. So it might retest 153, then come back down towards 150. We'll have to see if that ends up being the case. For ARM, in my opinion, is kind of on a bit of an uptrend. We're actually approaching resistance right here at 103.93. If it rejects here, we could be dipping all the way down to this imbalance. We are kind of flat right now, very, very flat. I think tomorrow it might kind of push towards 105 and then eventually come back down. So look and see if we get a rejection on the chart. Coinbase was trying to bounce and it kind of failed. So far, we're still kind of stuck. We're looking a little bullish on the 4 hours. So I could see a test of about 215 again, then lots of sideways price action. This kind of looks like an inverse head and shoulders for now, at least on the 4 hour. But I think it's going to be testing 215 and then trade kind of sideways there. If it breaks, that would look for 220. If we lose 210, we could be dipping all the way down to 200. I favored actually hitting 215 first before anything else. For Amazon hit resistance at 190. Now we're kind of stuck here. Will we break 190? If we break and hold it, we could be looking for a move up to 192. If we fail, we're going to be coming down to 187. So watch and see if we kind of push and reject to come down to 187 or not. That's going to be key for us, at least for the time being. For Meta, we're looking a bit more bullish. We actually managed to close above 475. So our next target is going to be right here. This resistance at 478 to 480. That's my next target on the stock. I think we could be approaching that. 478 to 480 is our first resistance, and 485 is after that. I think that Meta is going to be approaching 478 to 480, and we'll see if it rejects or not. That's previous resistance becoming, or previous support becoming resistance. We'll see what Meta does from here. For Microsoft, are showing some life, so I do see potential in this chart to actually try to go a little bit higher. I could see that attempt to do so. So we'll see what happens right over here at this 414 area. I think we might be testing that very, very soon, but we'll see if it rejects off that or not, because that's some tight resistance around 415. It has rejected there many times, so we'll see how it goes. And finally, we have Google. Google, in my personal opinion, is looking decent right now. It's kind of trading flat. We're uptrending so far in the 20 EMA. We have 170 as our support. We're holding that up quite well. If we lose that, look for 167. And if we hold that, we're going to be pushing for 175. I think that Google is it's showing some weakness on the 4 hours. So it might try to retest 172, then start dipping all the way down to 167 again. So we'll have to see if that ends up being the case. The VIX is also dipping quite a bit. We have this mid 12 area as our key support. We'll see if this bounces or not. So watch and see, and we'll see if anything else shifts from here. But I just wanted to say right now that 13.5 is going to be our key support, or our key resistance, excuse me. And we'll see if the VIX gets a breakout. I predict what's going to happen to the VIX is it's going to dip a little bit more into the 12.5 area. That's the key support as SPY pushes higher. But as we're in the 12s, it's not going to last long. Maybe a week or so, it could remain here, maybe a few days. And then the VIX is going to get a big bounce. There's going to be a big bounce coming. The VIX is going to break out to 15 again, I would say by next week or within 2 weeks. And then by the time it's back at the 15, SPY is going to be significantly lower. I think that the market's going to get a little rejection as a result of that. The 10-year Treasury yield is shifting because of what the Fed speakers have been saying. We'll see if they cause any more shifts or not in it. So that's going to be key for us. And we'll have to see if anything else changes, at least for now. That's going to be very, very pivotal for the way that we are moving. I also want to note that at least for the way that the dollar is moving, the dollar is in a critical place. We're at this 105 area. That's where our critical support has been. And we'll have to see if that holds or not. So that's going to be very, very important, at least for the markets. So, in a nutshell, guys, I think the market is bullish. Okay. I'm bullish on the markets. I think temporarily we could go higher. I think SPY is going to try to go higher, try to push up, and try to break these highs. However, once we hit 21.5, watch resistance. Do we reject it or not? We did reject it previously. If not, it's going to be at the 523 area, then 525. Those are going to be our resistance areas. We will see if SPY rejects at any of them. So make sure you're very mindful of that. Make sure you're very careful. With that being said, I just want to say I really appreciate every single one of you so much for watching my videos. Please have an absolutely incredible rest of the day, and I will see you guys very soon on the next one. So be careful and be mindful of what SPY is doing. Keep this in the back of your mind, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Thank you and peace out.